In this video, I'm trying to explain the most common mistakes that people make when they are propagating. Now, I'm someone who has propagated for a long time, over 40 years, and I have propagated all sorts of material, mainly herbaceous material, and that means that I have got the skills to be able to transfer and teach other people. I go out and do workshops. I have workshops here at the nursery, and I have helped our propagators when things have got a little bit tricky. So what are the most common mistakes that people, when they start doing propagation, actually do? Well, let's start off with taking the wrong material. So what do I mean by taking the wrong material? So they want to produce, say, cuttings from something like a salvia. And they look at it and they think, oh great, I've got this lovely piece here. It's I know I've got to do a tip cutting. But this has got flower on the top of it. Same happens when you come to something that is grey-leafed. This is a pseudodictamnus, and people don't realise that actually these little elements here, this is actually the flower casings. So you can't take from that. When you look at this woolly stuff, it's not all soft and flexible, so it's really quite long. So what happens is people take things which are flowering, which are old material, and that is what you should not be doing. So you've got to select the plant material that you actually want to use to start off with. So let's have a look at this Nepeta. So it is in full flower here. You can see beautiful flower here, and then there are some nice young shoots like this. But again, with the nice young shoots, there are things like flower buds just starting, so that is not of any use either. But then there are some lovely little pieces like this, and that is what you should be doing. It's got no flower bud available and it is flexible. So that is what you're looking at. You're looking for young material without flower, which is not too hard, and that is going to be successful. Now, the other thing also with things like Nepeta and salvia, well, you have to realise if they've got square stems, so that can also be hollow. You will not get roots from plant material that has got hollow stems. Let's do a close-up of this. Now we can see here, this piece looks like it would be usable, but it's got these flower buds and more flower buds here. So that is of no use whatsoever to take as a cutting. But if you look a little bit further round on this plant, here we go. There is a lovely piece here, and this has not got flower buds started in there. It's of a good length, and we would be able to take a cutting from this by going down the stem and going right down into the base of the plant, and then we have got a piece of material that is usable as a cutting. Now, if you're really interested in propagation, then do be aware that we have actually made a course for you. There is an online propagation course, and if you want to look into it further, then please do look at the link lower. It'll guide you through all the ways of propagating herbaceous perennials. Now let's go on with what else do people do that is incorrect when they are taking their cuttings. And this is one of the ones which really is key. They take their cuttings and make them too long. So we have a penstemon here. It's got beautiful young shoots here, which are ideal for taking as cutting material. It has been stopped. That means that you have got lovely young material to come up through here. It probably had an old flower spike on it which needed cutting off. These will eventually go to be flower, but if you catch them soon enough, you've got good cuttings. And what most people will do is they will take a bit of material and take it off like this, And you end up with a piece of material which is this length, and it's still quite flexible right the way through, but can you see that it has changed colour? So it is green on this stem and it is purple on this stem. Now most people, you'll be taking a tip cutting. Now the tip is this piece here. Most people take a tip cutting by taking below the pair of leaves there, and that is the length of the cutting that they are going to produce. However, and I'll just take another piece off here, a tip cutting is basically this piece at the top, and you would take behind that pair of leaves. Can you see how different those two cuttings are? This is much shorter, this is much longer. Let's do a close-up. This is the material, like so, and you can see, as I said, you've got your changes in colour. Most people will be taking their cuttings, and you take it below a pair of leaves, and they would make their cuttings that length. So that is a long cutting. However, a tip cutting means the tip, and basically you should be taking it behind the pair of leaves that is at the top, and then you have a tip cutting. Those are the differences. Too long, that one is about right. So remember, take your cuttings and make them shorter, because at the end of the day, it is a tip cutting for a reason. It is not a tip cutting plus some. One of the other things that happens when people are taking cuttings is that they incorrectly water. Now, basically, the material that you're putting them into, so the compost that you've got, hopefully you have chosen cutting and seed based compost. Even if you've made your own, make sure that it's got free enough draining. You want something that is free draining, and then when it's in the container, you're putting your cuttings in. Make sure they are well watered to start off with, and you can do that over the top. It does not just have to be from beneath. But once they start starting to dry out, you want to have them in something where you can water at the base. Do not overwater, do not leave them sitting in water all the time, because overwatered cuttings will rot off at the base. So be very careful. If you've got a little mister, i.e. a hand container which will just mist over the top, one of those ones that you use for houseplants, that is ideal for misting over the top. Even if it's inside a propagator and it's staying quite moist, you can lift that off and just mist and then put it back down. But remember to water from the base, but not sitting in water. That is really key. Then another thing that people tend to do is that they tend to try and take material at the wrong time of the day. So midday in a hot sunny day is definitely not the right thing to do. Now I've got a couple of plants here which are showing the signs that they are not very well. So this is a buddleia which has obviously got a little bit of leaf mosaic virus because it's got these horrible blotches and everything else. This is not an ideal plant to be taking cuttings from, because it has disease and this is going to die. This plant needs to go in the bin. Do not propagate from diseased or plants that are dying. Also, do not try and propagate from plant material that is wilted like this. It is not going to recover enough. You want to make sure that the plant material that you are taking from is beautifully turgid, it's been well watered, it's nice and firm, not all droopy like this is here. So there we go. Not dead or dying, not diseased, and not wilting. Then you will get much better cuttings. Let's do a close-up. Very wilted, unhappy material. This is turgid, same plant material, wilted, diseased. Horrible markings on the leaf. This plant needs destroying. Lastly, one of the big mistakes a lot of people do make is putting their plant material into the wrong light. So yes, they need available light, but when your cuttings are young, they do not want to get scorched. So if you have a greenhouse, make sure the area where your plants are being propagated has shading over them so that they have available light, but they're not going to get scorched by the direct sunlight. Again, if you are in the winter time doing a little bit of later propagation, then they need as much available light as is possible. But remember also, a lot of those winter things are things which are going to overwinter quite dormant, and then they will start growing again in the spring when the light levels get better. But it's too much sunlight, too intense sunlight, which is really bad. So a south-facing window is not a good place to put your propagator. You're better off putting it somewhere where it is slightly less full sun, or shade. That is the key thing. Just make sure that they don't get too hot. I hope this helps everybody, and if you are really interested in propagation, then please do follow the link at the bottom of this video, and you will be able to participate and join the propagation course that we have produced. This propagation course is so that everybody all over the world is able to try out and enjoy propagation. That's what it's all about. Thank you very much for watching, and please do subscribe to the channel. If you want to watch another video of mine, YouTube thinks this one is perfect for you.